Hey everybody. Today I'm going to talk about febrile seizures. Febrile seizures affect kids usually under 5 years old. Clearly, I'm not experiencing febrile seizures. I'm way over 5 years old. But this particular situation affected me when I was younger and when my child was younger. And there was unfortunately no information about this until it happened. I feel like I should share this and maybe it'll help somebody out there avoid what I had to deal with. So when I was younger, I had a very small child, under 5, and she had run a temperature, a very high temperature, for several days with one of these crazy upstate colds that I think is probably in every state and every city, but it had definitely affected our area. And my child caught this cold, and she had a fever, an extended fever, over 5 days. And, of course, we had taken her to the doctor. She had been prescribed different medications. I think it was Motrin and Tylenol, I think, to bring the temperature, bring her fever down. And over a period of days, we had done the prescribed medication, and I don't remember if her fever ever actually got better or it just got worse. But I do remember there were times when it would spike up and spike down, and we were taking her to the doctor and doing the prescribed medication, so we assumed things were going to get better. Well, this thing with febrile seizures, I don't, I do. We went to the class where you go to the hospital and you go through all the classes and you do all the stuff about new babies and new kids and all that stuff, but I don't ever remember anybody ever talking about febrile seizures. And I'm bringing this up now just because I'm remembering back things that were impactful for me in my life. And this seizure was impactful because it's one of the few times in my life when I've actually cried, besides when I've had family members die. And I felt like that was, I feel like that was pretty impactful. And I wanted to share this because, again, if I can help somebody avoid dealing with the just emotional impact that I had to deal with, probably my whole family had to deal with at some point throughout the cycle. I would like to help people avoid that. So, febrile seizure is when a child under 5 has an extended, prolonged high temperature. Like their nerves just can't deal with the pressure of the high temperature for the long period, and I guess it causes a seizure, or it can cause a seizure, and that's exactly what happened to me. And it was when I was living downtown, and she had this seizure, and I was taking her downstairs. She was still doing okay. I was taking her downstairs, trying to get her ready for potentially going to the hospital, and she had a seizure. And I mean, I don't know what a seizure is. I've never had a seizure. I don't know people that have had seizures, but I thought my child died. I was on the stairs, walking down the stairs, and I ended up sitting down on the stairs with her in my hands, and laying her on the stairs. And I don't know. I thought I was gonna have to do CPR or whatever, and I wanted to get her in a place where I could lay her down and potentially, do whatever medical stuff that I could do. Now, I had already called the ambulance, and they were on their way. And luckily, I lived an area just a couple of miles from the hospital, and I was waiting for them to get there within a couple of minutes. And a couple more minutes lasts like 10 years when your child is in your arms, and you think that they could possibly be dead. And that's what happened. I laid there on the stairs and had her on the stairs, and I thought she had died. Like I said, I never had anybody or knew anybody that had seizures, so I had no idea what that did or caused or looked like. It would have been probably a little bit easier for me if I would have known she had a seizure and didn't die. Um, But yeah, that wasn't the case. So this thing with these seizures, they're febrile seizures. It's when a child under 5, because their nerves haven't completely developed to be able to avoid the high temperatures, when they have high temperatures for a prolonged period of time, and their body goes into seizure, and it looks like they die. They stop moving, they stop doing everything, and it's terrifying. So if you know somebody who has a child under 5, this might be a good video to share, because I know I'm not the only person that dealt with a febrile seizure with my child, and I don't know that it's part of the education in the hospital or just new parent educations that they talk about it. They didn't talk, when my child was born, they didn't talk about febrile seizures or any concern of febrile seizures. I had to find it out when she actually had one. And when you're going to the doctor because your child has high fevers, that at that point they should say, hey, listen, it's potential that if the fever continues on, you could experience a febrile seizure, and here's what you do, here's what it looks like, and here's how to address it. And there was none of that. And that's not exactly what this post is about. But I just hope that this post will give somebody at least a little bit of information to prepare for something like this to happen, just in case it does, and to know that your child isn't dying. It's a seizure because of the temperature, and the best thing to do is to cool your child down. Either continue the medication that's been prescribed, the Motrin and the aspirin, and whatever else they prescribe. But also, if you put your child under a fan, or even put a cool compress, like a cool washcloth, on their head and around their neck, it can bring their temperature down enough to hopefully not have the seizure or stop the seizure. If there's any questions, please ask them below. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a healthcare specialist. I'm just a guy who many years ago had this experience with my child. And I'm hoping that this will keep other parents, new parents, from having to deal with this particular situation, or at least know what it's about and how to take care of it. I know that at one point somebody had said in the doctor cycles after the fact that we could have put my daughter in a cool, not a cold, but a cool bath, or just cool her down. Like I said, I would put a cool washcloth on her head, or on their head, or around on their neck, on their chest. I don't know that I would drop them directly into a cold bath, but a cool bath might make sense, or even a very not hot but very cool bath, I guess. Yeah, if you have any questions, do me a favor. Please leave it below, or if you have any comments, please leave those below too. Just trying to help people avoid some of the things that I've dealt with in the past. And if you don't have a child under 5, if you know anybody that's got a child under 5 or a newborn baby, this might be a good post to share with them, so that they at least have a little bit of knowledge of this cycle, and maybe they could ask some more questions to their doctor to make sure they're prepared for this, because this whole febrile seizure thing, it's terrifying. It's like when your newborn baby, or I guess up to 5 years is how long these kind of things last, until their nerves develop enough to deal with the higher temperatures. When a baby or a 5-year-old feels like they die in your arms, it's unbelievable how traumatic that is for both you and the child and anybody else that's involved in the cycle. So yeah, this was definitely traumatic. This was one of the few times in my life that I've actually openly cried. I mean, I cried when my grandparents died. I cried when a couple of my Navy buddies died, but I definitely cried when I thought my daughter died. That was a terrifying cycle, and I hated it. And yeah, I'm trying to help people avoid it in this post. Again, if you know anybody that's got children that are 5 years or younger, and you may want to share this with them and let them know that this does happen, and this isn't this is a normal thing that can happen, and they should know a little bit about it, at least to not feel like their kid dies. Hey, I hope you're having a great weekend. Thanks for watching. If you're subscribed, thank you. If you're not subscribed, please consider it. Have a great rest of the day. Have a good weekend. Bye bye.